Okay, let's just get right into it. We've all been there, right? You walk onto a car lot and bam, you're hit with this high pressure world of zero down offers and sales pitches about a deal you'd be absolutely crazy to pass up. The whole thing is designed to be confusing, to get you to focus on that one, seemingly small monthly payment. But what if that one decision made under the bright lights of a dealership was actually one of the biggest financial choices of your entire life? Because, well, that's exactly what it is. We are not talking about some small, everyday purchase here. We're talking about a decision that, when you repeat it over your lifetime, can have a truly massive impact on your ability to build wealth. This isn't just about getting from point A to point B, it's a huge financial event. So let's start with a number that has become kind of frighteningly normal: $750. That is the average new car payment in America right now. Think about that. It's a huge chunk of money just poof, gone from your income month after month after month. And why is that payment so high? Well, it's because the average price for a brand new car has now officially crossed the $50,000 mark. So yeah, the stakes for making the right choice on how you pay for it have never, ever been higher. Now, here's the number that should really make you stop and think. Over a lifetime of driving, the average American can expect to spend anywhere from $400,000 to nearly $1 million on cars. That is house money. That is retirement money, all spent on vehicles. So here's the thing you have to understand. Every single car is a depreciating asset. It is guaranteed to lose value. So the real question when you're at that dealership isn't just which car do I want, it's which way am I going to choose to pay for this massive unavoidable cost of my car losing its value. And that brings us to the three main paths you can take. You can pay with cash, you can finance it with a loan, or you can lease it. So let's break down exactly what each of these paths really looks like for your wallet. Okay, so let's map this out. If you pay with cash, boom, you own it right away. Simple. But you're also tying up a huge chunk of your money in something that's losing value every single day. Financing, that's the classic route, right? You make your payments and eventually it's all yours. But you're giving the bank thousands of dollars in interest for that privilege. And then there's leasing. You got to think of it as just a long-term rental. You get those really tempting lower monthly payments, but you're kind of caught in this cycle of never actually owning anything. So, which one is actually cheaper? Let's forget all the marketing fluff from the dealership. Let's run the real numbers in a head-to-head showdown between financing and leasing over a typical 3-year period. And trust me, this is where it gets really interesting. We're going to use a super realistic scenario here, a brand new $35,000 SUV, and that's actually well below today's average price. You're putting 10% down, so $3,500. Now let's see how the costs really stack up after 3 years. Okay, so let's follow the financing path first. Over those 3 years, you've got your down payment plus all your monthly payments. It adds up to about $26,000 going out the door. But, and this is the key, you own an asset. That SUV is still worth about 21 grand. So when you sell it and pay off the rest of your loan, you walk away with about $7,100 back in your pocket. So what's the bottom line? You take the total amount you paid, you subtract the cash you got back from the sale, and your actual true cost to drive that SUV for 3 years comes out to about $18,900. Okay? Remember that number. Now let's look at the lease. Same exact car, same down payment. You make your lower monthly payments for 3 years. When you add up the down payment, all the monthly payments, and the usual fees you have to pay, what's your total out-of-pocket cost? It's around $19,100. And this right here, this is the big surprise for most people. Look at that. After 3 years, the total cost is nearly identical. Financing and then selling cost you about $18,900. Leasing cost you $19,100. It's basically a tie. So much for the idea that leasing is always this terrible deal. But, and this is a huge but, that's only looking at the short term. So you're probably asking, if it's a wash after 3 years, what's the big deal? Where does the real difference actually show up? And that is the key question. Because the true advantage of buying doesn't appear in year 3. It shows up in years 6, 7, 8, and way beyond. See, this is where the two paths just completely split apart. The leaser? They get stuck on what's basically a financial treadmill, starting a new lease and a new cycle of payments every few years. But look at the buyer's journey. Around year 6, something magical happens. The loan is paid off. The payments stop. For the next 4 years, and even longer, the buyer has hundreds of extra dollars every single month, while the leaser is still just writing checks. That is what financial freedom looks like.
And that freedom is the entire point. As the saying goes, the real flex isn't the car itself, it's getting rid of that huge monthly expense and being able to redirect that cash toward things that actually build your wealth, not things that lose value the second you drive them off the lot.
Now, hold on. Does this mean leasing is always 100% of the time the wrong choice? Not necessarily. To be fair, we have to talk about the few specific situations where leasing can actually be the smarter, more calculated move. So what are these exceptions? Well, if you drive very few miles, you can stay under those strict limits and avoid the penalties. If having the absolute latest safety tech and a constant warranty is your number one priority, leasing delivers that new car experience on repeat. For business owners, being able to write off the payments can totally change the math. And finally, and this is a big one, if you are disciplined enough to actually invest the savings from that lower lease payment every single month, it can work out. But let's be honest, for most of us, these are the exceptions, not the rule. So let's put this all together. How can you use all this to make a really smart decision the next time you need a car? Here is a simple, actionable blueprint you can follow. First, be really honest with yourself about what you actually need a car for, not what your ego wants you to drive. Second, if your goal is building long-term wealth, the data is crystal clear. You should lean towards buying a car you can truly afford and holding on to it for at least 8 years. Third, if you do decide to lease, treat it as a deliberate lifestyle expense, not some kind of financial shortcut. And finally, and this is maybe the most important, never, ever, ever get fixated on just the monthly payment. Always ask the dealer, what is the total amount I will pay over the life of this loan or this lease? Because in the end, that's what it all comes down to. When you're sitting in that dealership looking at that shiny new car, the decision isn't just about buy versus lease. The real question, the one you should be asking yourself, is this: how much of my future freedom and my future wealth am I willing to trade for this vehicle today?